All right, we got Jimmy here doing some kiting on an Ozone Mojo 26. Looking good. One thing we see is just a little bit of a twist of the body there. If you look at it, you'll see when he starts to lose it down, he kind of twists away from it. That's not quite what we want to do. We want to stay facing straight. But this is nice. You can see smooth, calm steps, right? Heel to toe, very calm. He's not making any noise with the wing. If you're stepping and you hear the wing go jolt, 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 or crink, 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 it means you're stepping too aggressively. He's got a small twist with his right brake, which means he grabbed it incorrectly. That's okay, it still flies. So right here, that left wing tips down. He should slowly sidestep. You can notice he's very gentle with those corrections, which is really great. Oftentimes with kiting, if you overdo, possible frontal, is he gonna catch it? Oh, it almost frontaled on him, but he was able to walk forward fast enough to prevent that. Oh, yeah, there's a nice clean turnaround. Second guessed himself, pulled the wrong brake. All right, we are back here with Kyle on that Mojo Power 28 again. Looking good, looking good. Wings under control. It's not frontaling. You know, one thing I'll point out is that none of these guys are really taking any collapses. That's a super important skill that you need to build prior to flying. You need to be good enough while you're kiting that you're not really taking collapses. You can also see the wing's not really moving much. You know, these guys are doing a great job at keeping these gliders under control. Where they're still somewhat struggling is when things start to go south or they start to make a mistake and then recovering from that mistake. But I mean, overall, we're 40 seconds in here. Glider's just been sitting perfectly above them. That's those little tiny micro inputs. These guys are just starting to get comfortable with their forwards. They're still a little bit on the weaker side with their forwards. One thing that's super important, you can see he actually has taken little tip collapses while forward. That's an indicator of how proficient he is with his forwards. One thing that is important when you are learning to fly, when you are kiting, when you are practicing on your own, whatever, is to do the things that you're not necessarily super comfortable with. These guys are very comfortable with their reverses. They're not super comfortable with their forwards. They should be pushing themselves to become more proficient with their forwards, even though they could continue to practice their reverses. You gotta do what's hard. You gotta do what you're not very good at to get good at it. So in this case, one thing we've been telling the guys this morning is we want to see more forward kiting practice. We know that they could continue to improve their reverse. They're gonna continue to improve their reverse, but let's also work on those forwards. You can see very little inputs, man. Forward can be very simple. Very little movement with those hands, very little inputs. Shouldn't be walking with the wind like he was. Turns around if he starts to lose control. You should always turn reverse if you're starting to lose control. You do not ever want to try and recover forward. You immediately want to turn around reverse. So if you take a little tip collapse or your wing starts to come down or it starts to stall, you immediately need to turn around from forward to reverse. But notice those small inputs with the hands, right? Hands are doing very little. They're moving micro inches, maybe 3, 4, 5 inches at most. If you're doing big jerky inputs forward, your wing is going to be doing big movements. So small inputs forward make big differences. Now that wing is starting to come down. He turns, takes a tip collapse. See, he doesn't take tip collapses reverse because he's very proficient, but he does take small tip collapses forward, which indicates that he's not as proficient. So nice job, Kyle. We're gonna go push you to do more forwards. Pop it all at once. Great turn there. He actually turned the way the wing was falling, which is the correct technique. Little heavy on those brakes, which is why the wing fell, but all around that was great. Catches it from overflying, kind of walked forward. You don't want to walk forward, you want to slide if possible, or walk backwards. We've got enough wind that he doesn't have to walk forward, but what we don't want to do is go walking towards the wing. Great job. Little bit of brakes, slow movements. You can see he's very slowly walking. You don't want to be too fast. You don't want to be too aggressive. You don't need to move quickly unless you need to move quickly. And then you need to move quickly. But kiting generally, ooh, nice catch of that overfly. Catch that second surge. Little lean, boom, look at that shoulder pop, hip pop. Should lean to the right now. Lean a little further. You can't hear me, but that's what he should do. Nice recovery, keeping that wing from overflying him by checking those brakes when he needs to, getting those hands back up when he needs to. It's a great job. Should lean left now. He's not quite leaning enough. Just a little bit of a shoulder pop like that. That's good. Beautiful, right there. There it is. Always should weight shift. If you don't weight shift, you should lean. There it is. If you don't weight shift the correct direction, you're actually weight shifting the wrong direction and making the kiting harder. You don't need to do a full shebang by getting your shoulder down to your knee, but you do need to drop the shoulder down to the side that it's falling to, pop the hip out to the opposite side, like you kind of see him doing. See, his hip should go out to his left, his shoulder should go down to his right, just like that. He just was maybe a little late to it, but he's doing it correct once he does so. Now he should do a little to the his left, our right. Still not quite there, still not, there it is, there it is. So he needs to lean just a little bit sooner. And Austin's actually gonna wake him, totally screw up all his wind. Beautiful recovery, not too heavy in those brakes, maybe got a little punchy because you can hear the wing crinkle. Austin going in front of him just disrupted his air, but still keeping control. Little jerky, you can see he's kind of stuffing that brake, but he's got it. Still under control. See, he should lean left now, his left, our right. He's a little late to those leans. Beautiful turnaround, didn't move backwards. It was smooth, getting a little bit of forward momentum. He doesn't need it. He shouldn't be looking quite as much as he is, but that looks good. You can see calm, not sprinting around, very easy, gentle inputs, keeping the wing from overflying him. That's a great job. A little bit of right, a little too heavy on there. It actually sent it off to the other direction. So you should be a little lighter on those inputs. Let it take a little bit more time. A lot of people get a little rushed with their kiting. See that left input that he just did, overdid it, and now he's questioning what brake, does the wrong one and flips it upside down. That's 3 minutes of kiting with Tom, 66 years old, here at Backcountry PPG. Back here with Jimmy, 26 Mojo Power 2. Not my favorite wing for kiting, but it does get the job done. A good kiting wing needs to frontal, and the Mojos do frontal. They also don't get super spicy and dynamic when they frontal, which is good. Something like a Dudek Solo doesn't really frontal while kiting, so personally I don't prefer it for a kiting wing, because you need a wing that actually gives out to learn how to prevent that and what it feels like. So I'm a fan for the Mojo for that. Getting the weight shift, you can see the lean. He's kind of, there's the weight shift. So he was originally turning. You want to lean when the glider is up here and when the wingtip is anywhere from here above. Once the wingtip comes down here, then it's actually a turn, which is kind of a tricky line to learn. But you can see nice slow movements, calm inputs with those brakes. Nothing too aggressive, nothing too jerky. Walking is extremely effective when forward kiting. Leaning isn't really a thing, nor is it that effective. A little bit more of that left brake. Nice and calm. Almost overdid. In fact, we did overdo. We sent it off this way. Now he needs to turn right. There's the turn. And right brake. Good. Don't want to stall it. Catch it from overflying. Beautiful recovery there, Mr. Jimmy. All around looking real good. Kept control. Shouldn't have lost control while forward kiting there in the first place, but he had a great job recovering from that. So nice job, Jimmy. All right, we're back here with Tom, 66-year-old individual, was a rocket scientist like Tom. Here we are, a little bit of left side coming down. We should lean. He's a little late to lean. We talked about it after filming that previous video, but we do need a little more lean. If we look at the risers, what you're looking for with weight shift is that you pull one riser down and push the other riser up. So if we watch with the right weight shift, all of a sudden that right riser comes down. Sorry if it's a little weird to see, and the left riser goes up. Technically that right riser is pulling on this left side of the wing. So when you lean right, you actually pull this side down and push this side up, which helps bring the wing up. So now if he needs to lean left, see he's a little late to that lean, and sidestepping did the job of recovering, but the lean would have been more effective. So he should have leaned in that moment. Now he needs to lean right. There's a little lean, boom, beautiful. Look at that. Now he needs to turn. Beautiful. Look at that. That's right where the line is, where leaning is no longer effective and turning begins to be effective. It's a weird spot to learn that line. When you initially begin kiting, I often don't have people learn the leaning. I have them learn to just follow the wing with their chest, right? So it just turn. Yeah, there's that nice lean. And then we kind of transition over to the leaning. He is currently doing a great job here, keeping that wing under control. Should lean here. He's not. There it is. A little late to that lean again. We're going to have to continue to work on that part, but he is getting it correct. There it is. Beautiful. You can notice he's not taking tip collapses, so he knows when he needs to apply the brake to prevent the wing from collapsing, even if it's not the brake he needs to apply to bring the wing back above him. Meaning, if the wing is coming down to his left, right, it's coming down to his left, he may need to apply a little bit of right brake as, oh, little aggressive on those inputs. Tried to run to correct it, didn't work. But yes, if it's coming down to the left and you need the left brake to correct, you may need to apply right to prevent a collapse. But that was good. Got a little aggressive on those inputs. You could see the trailing edge kind of deflated, or you could see deflected, excuse me, and it was too much brake for the wing to fly. All right, so here we have Dan giving the wing a good pop. Anytime you inflate a glider, what you want to do is give it a good pop. You don't want to yank on it, but you do want to pop it. Nice inflation, caught that glider from overflying him. This is Dan. He is actually a progression student coming for a progression class this coming weekend. A good turnaround there, nice and smooth. He didn't move back into the, or with the wind, he moved into the wind. He's not overdoing those corrections. He is catching it from overflying. He's maybe a little heavy on those brakes. Overall, that was good. The turnaround from reverse to forward was nice. The turnaround from forward to reverse was nice. Keeping that glider above him. Keeping that glider under control. This is actually quite nice. Good run. No collapses, right? Collapse is a good indicator. A little heavy and a little too much sidestep there. A little turnaround happy. I think he's doing that intentionally because I told him I was going to film him and see if there's anything we could work on. So far, all I could see is maybe a little bit jerky. Right, if we look over here at these two hooligans, this is Austin and this is Troy. They're both fairly calm with their inputs. I think they're about to run down the hill and jump. Nice. Yeah, they're both pretty calm with their inputs, besides the fact that they're running like madmen. He's very calm. A little too much turn there. That wasn't quite a lean. But all around that wing isn't really moving. This is straight line control. A little heavy on those brakes. That glider's falling down. His hands should go up. Switching back to his toggles. Nice. Didn't overdo. Oftentimes people, when it starts to fall like that and they didn't initially catch it, is they stuff a brake thinking that they need to quickly regain the control. Went back to the A's. Nice little set down. All around, that was pretty good.